Firstly, I'd like to thank everyone for attending, in person in particular. It's great to see all the faces again, online as well. I'm glad everyone could take the time out of their day and carve some time on behalf of the association. Your efforts are, as members, and your efforts on behalf of the association are never unnoticed, and they're very, very appreciated. As always, we'd like to thank our national partners, Hedek, Richelieu, and Hardwoods, for their continued support to the association nationwide. Without their support and the support of our supporting partners, Ackhurst, Upper Canada, Grass, and CNC Automation, a lot of this just wouldn't be possible. We make a lot off of our dues and our GIS revenues, as you'll see, but our supporting partners and our national partners really kick in and step up every time something needs to be done. So thank you on behalf of the association. Huge shout out to you all. I'd like to introduce this current tally of this year's board of directors for the year ending 2024. Myself, Nick Anastas, is president. Ms. Karina Cheng, our vice president and GIS director. We have Mr. Ian Christie, our national director, our past president, and our education director. Mr. Philip Roy, our membership director. Mr. Honorio Santafanti, our secretary-treasurer. Mr. Mike Sanchez, director at large, and our head of our recruiting subcommittee. We have Mr. Bill Kajanchik, our other education director. We have Joe Jubran, our social director. Mr. Ian Rowe, our director at large. Mr. Livio Pasalent, our GIS director alternate, and Mr. Mohsen Kanafar, another director at large. On behalf of the association, I'd like to thank all of the board of directors for their tireless work. It has been an interesting year. There's been a lot of work has gone in on behalf of the association, and as volunteers, it's been a tremendous amount of effort. So thank you very much for you all. So we have the agenda for the AWMAC, our meeting for today. This was distributed with the minutes. I trust everyone has a chance to take a look at our previous minutes, the agenda, and all the attachments and articles that was in the enclosures. As you can see, we have a pretty basic agenda. That said, as always, I will call for a motion to... Okay, this is our agenda. We're going to get to that in a minute. Call the meeting order. I'll call for a motion to adopt our general AGM agenda for the year 2023 as presented on March 21st, 2024. I have Mr. Livio Pasalente. Do I have a second? Mr. Joe Jubran, thank you very much. We have confirmed that we have quorum is present, so I will now then call for a vote on this motion. All those in favor say aye, or signify with your proxies. People online, please vote. There was a link. Is it working? Great. Any against? Any abstaining? Laurie? Motion carried. And again, I'll also ask for a motion now to waive the reading of the minutes of last year's AGM and approve these minutes as presented in the notice of meeting that was sent out to the association. Can I have a motion? Mr. Peter Gallagher, thank you, sir. And second, Mr. Livio Pasalente. Again, with having quorum, I will now call for a vote on this motion. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your proxies. Those of you online, that should be on the same link, I believe. Any against or abstaining? All right. Motion carried. President's report. So in the past, I've actually sat down and read a very long and arduous script. This year I decided not to do so. I think that we'd like to hear probably less of me. So I've just made a few notes, and I'll just talk a little bit about the year that's passed and review the year that is upcoming. 2023 was a solid year, great year for Ontario. From the time we were last at our AGM, since we had held our apprenticeship contest at Humber College, we of course had the big national AGM in June, which was well attended by everyone, and I'm grateful for everyone's efforts and support. There was a great golf tournament that was well attended, some great conferences in education, which really kicked off our initiatives going into the rest of the year, focusing on education, member education, trade education in general, and pushing for the association to really be giving back to the membership more in a tangible benefit. That kicked off into a lot of our education initiatives that we'll talk about later, but you saw a lot of CEU sessions that were held. Some of them were either technical, or we held some that were very strategic, management-based for ownership and corporate governance. So there was a lot of really good information that was out there to help all of our membership really, thrive in the current marketplace. There was the return to the WMS Expo this year after 4 years that it had been away. So that was a really great event that was well attended by all. We had a booth and did some seminars as well. And tied that in with Woodworking Technology Days. In November, we held our awards gala at the Royal York Hotel. Again, as always, well attended. It was a great turnout by everyone, and by all accounts was an extraordinary event. And I'm grateful that everyone came out and gave time to the association. In addition, this year we saw the rollout of our benefits program. This was a initiative by Mr. Sanchez and by the late Carlo DeFrancesco to, again, bring a really tangible benefit to members. Small shops, striving, trying to make ends meet, trying to keep relevant and retain and attract new talent. So it's great to see that it has kicked off and running as well as it has in its short period of time. Thus far, there's been 4 shops that have joined up, as well as AWMAC and AWMAC National have also gone on board. There are 40 other members that are currently in the process of joining or getting pricing and doing comparative quoting right now that are just finalizing joining up with the AWMAC's benefits program. So for those of you who don't have a good benefits program in your shop, please reach out, or when PACE reaches out to you guys, follow through, see what you can do, and it's one of the most key elements when we're hiring that people are asking for, that good talent are always looking for the benefits package, and the ability to provide good health benefits to your workers is something that we're very proud to be able to help bring into reach. As we all know, at the end of June, we lost our good friend Carlo, and I think we're all going to be smarting from that for a little while. But we're also very pleased to be able to award and generate the new Award of Excellence in his name, keeping both his vision and his name alive within the association. Lori's been very busy last year and continued to be busy this year. She's attending a lot of the PAC conferences with the universities and doing the educational programs. We've been actively supporting and having some input into the Bachelor of Interior Design programs, both at Conestoga College, and we're making inroads with Guelph and some other colleges as well. Hopefully we'll see some more fruition from that. But as part of our vision for education, a huge part of that is getting out to the schools, and it's not just the woodworking schools, it's the interior designers, it's the architects, it's the larger community that the woodworking community consists of that we need to be supporting, educating, and being more of a part of. And towards the end of the year, we wound up getting into a lot of the chapter bylaws and articles of incorporation. Got kind of thrown a loop for those of you who don't know. This year, before the end of the year, all nonprofits in Ontario, and a lot of them nationwide, have to be brought into line with the new provincial bylaws and guidelines for nonprofit corporations. So behind the scenes, there was a lot of work on making sure that we were brought in line. Some of our paperwork in the past was not updated and not in line with some recent legislation that was passed that had to be in line by this year. So that's been a lot of work that went behind the scenes. And as always, it's Lori who's doing all the heavy lifting. Going into this year, We're continuing on, obviously, all of the things that I've just touched on. No initiatives are just 1 year. They're not one and done. But kicking off this year, we're looking forward to being able to present a women in woodworking program initiative that we have. Ms. Karina Chang is leading that with some of the other members that we have across Canada, as well as in Ontario. And we're looking to try and generate some more interest and generate some traction in the skilled trades. And I'm hoping that that can really start seeing some dividends down the road, because as people are seeing that we need to attract more people into the trades, and it's definitely a viable employment and career option. We definitely want to start attracting more and more women into the trades and making sure that everyone has the great opportunities that are there. We've actually been in talks, and we've drawn the attention of the Minister of Labour, who is watching some of our initiatives, and we're hoping to see some more input from the government and some more support. So that's very gratifying to see. We're looking at some HR initiatives for companies similar to our benefits packages. There's an HR firm that we've been talking with, who will probably be shortly be able to release a partnership with, where AWMAC members will be able to contract with them to get specific HR needs, as well as us providing forms, documentation, and resources, so that small shops have the HR facilities that larger shops have, so that everyone's able to compete and everybody's able to stay abreast of all the legislation and stay in tune with the laws. And we have more initiatives in the marketing side of things. National has been putting some more effort into marketing. Mr. Christie has been on board with that committee, and we'll be seeing some trickle down of that into our own chapter. Lori's been doing a lot of work outside of the GTA, trying to attract more members and create more traction in the bigger areas that are doing more business. In particular, we're seeing it east of the GTA, so like Ottawa in particular. So we're trying to attract more members, more architects, and be relevant in more projects on markets other than just Toronto. So as you can see, there's quite a bit that's on the go, and 2024 is looking to be a really great year. And so we'll now review the financial statements for 2023. Just got those in recently, and we've had a chance to go through them as the board. So turns out we had a better year than you would think. So looking at our year-end financials, our membership dues were pretty much on par. It's like we're seeing growth on all the major sectors that we really expected to see. GIS revenue is up quite well. And it has continued to trend in an upward manner. Some large projects, we're truly seeing the dividends from all the work we've put in Lunch and Learns. It takes about 2 to 3 years before those Lunch and Learns turn into projects and turn into some real revenue. So you can see from this year compared to last year, to see almost $30,000 in growth is a very large jump. So very proud to see that. We didn't have a golf event in 2023, so you'll see the revenue is very minor. Our awards event was on par. Non-GIS inspections, a little bit of fluctuation there, but everything else is pretty much on par with where we'd expected it to be. But you can see at the bottom line, without having a golf tournament, we wound up being only $10K shy of the previous year. So some good growth across the board that wound up putting us into a good stead. Obviously, not having a golf tournament also meant that we didn't have the expenditures of a golf tournament. So as we go into our expenditures, you'll see growth in the appropriate manner and the appropriate columns, but you'll see we mostly held the line or saved money in a lot of places. Our awards event, we come down to our GIS GIS costs. Obviously, went up as our revenue went up, but as our revenue tends to go up in it's not a parallel scale. The higher the revenue, doesn't always equate to that much higher costs in the same percentages. We had some costs for the convention. Professional fees we've managed to reduce, as we're not required to go through the same degree of auditing and engagement reviews on the accounting side. And we come all the way down to our bottom line, where our expenditures are not only less than last year, but less than we had originally projected. That winds up giving us this year, we had an excess of revenue over expenditure of $17,323 when we had actually projected a net loss. So did better this year than last year and better than expected. So that being said, this year we've presented, especially for everyone who was at the national AGM, we know how important it is that we present a budget. So here's the proposed budget for this year that we've put forward. You can see, we don't have last year's in relation, but you can see last year we had projected to spend some of our COVID dividend, but it didn't really wind up happening. This year, what we're trying to do is trying to keep everything as revenue neutral as possible. Based on last year's actuals, we've put forth a budget that actually reflects what our expenditures this year are most likely to be. Most things make sense and just trend pretty much standard with the general inflation and the general costs based upon last year. The only real new line you'll see in purple is in the expenses. We do have a fairly significant one-time expense for an attorney to bring our articles of incorporation up to the legal standards. That said, we've actually received last night a statement of account, and it looks like we're going to be significantly less than this number. This is what we budgeted based upon a worst-case scenario, and it looks like we're going to be just over half that, which will be a very nice surprise. Are there any questions or comments regarding either the financial statement or the budget? Feel free to use the chat box. All righty. Every year, as always, I will entertain a motion to appoint Lano Torelli LLP to review our financial statements for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024. Motion, thank you very much, sir. And a second? Thank you. That was Nick. George. Sorry, the other Nick. It was George. You try being up here. All righty then. So I will we'll put the matter to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Raise your proxies. Any against? Any abstaining? Motion carried. Also, part of the budget is as part of the bylaws and the new laws that have come into place, we don't have to pay for an audit and engagement review every year. So, as part of that, after consultation with our attorneys, I will call for an extraordinary resolution of a waiver that, pursuant to Section 76-2 of the Nonprofit Corporations Act of 2010 in Ontario, the members will hereby consent to the exemption of this association and the Board of Directors from the requirements of Part 7 of the Act regarding the appointment and duties of an auditor with respect to the financial years ending December 31st, 2023, and the financial year ending December 31st, 2024. So for the previous year and this year, we're not going to go through a full audit. It's not required by law. It's not required by any of the corporate standards, and there's no reason for us to be going through that process until our revenues hit a significantly larger point, at which point we will require to be legally audited as a nonprofit. So, that said, I will call for a motion for the members to hereby consent to the exemption of the association and the Board of Directors from the requirements of Part 7 of the Act regarding the appointment and duties of an auditor in respect to the financial year ended December 31st, 2023, and the financial year ending December 31st, 2024. Do I have a motion? Mr. Gallagher, thank you, sir. And I have a second, Mr. Pavlov. Thank you, sir. And we'll put the matter to a vote. Those in favor say aye. and/or proxies? Any against? Any abstaining? This was a separate link, I believe, so let's make sure that everyone's had a chance. This was the second link of the three that were in that email. Give it a couple minutes, seconds. Say again, all approvals? All approved. All approved. And I believe this was the one that required as an extraordinary resolution, this one required a 66% approval, and having achieved such, motion carried. Thank you very much. Some more paperwork. So for those of you who are in Calgary and heard Larry have to read absolutely everything, I do apologize. This is similar, but not nearly as bad. Schedule A of the Articles of Amendment were provided in the package, and this was included with the AGM package. This was what we had the attorney bring us into line with. Mostly housekeeping issues, the legal appointments of the various board of directors, the terms. There was a lot of little matters that had to be checked off and had to be brought into line with the act. So as a result, Schedule A was the amendments to our Articles of Incorporation. Trusting that everyone has had a chance to review them with the AGM package, I will call for a motion for the members to approve the amendment of the corporation's articles to bring them into compliance with the Not-for-Profit Corporations Act of 2010 in Ontario, further known as the ONCA, per Schedule A issued to all AWMAC Ontario voting members with the AGM package. Do I have a motion? Ms. Cheng, thank you very much. And second, Mr. Canifar, thank you very much. We'll put the matter to a vote. Those in favor, please respond accordingly or raise your proxies. Any against? Any abstaining? We have one against, one abstain. Fair enough. That said, then, motion carried. Thank you. I will now call Ms. Cheng up, our Ontario VP and GIS Director, to review 2023's GIS report. Heels are loud. There's your cookie.
All right, thank you, everybody. Lori, should I just go to the next slide? Okay. So 2023, we started with 16 GIS projects, 19 certificates were issued, and the value of projects completed was $14,008,306.67, which is great. GIS fees from projects completed is $141,865.58. The GIS liability fund balance end of 2023 is $184,707. Overall, GIS program is still growing really strong as we continue to grow the program and continue with the lunch and learns. This year we have 3 GIS inspectors, Gary, Graham, and a new inspector, Dan, who has finally completed all his training. And then we have Jim, that's our inspector in training right now. So Lunch and Learn program, we continue to promote AWMAC's Quality Standards Manual and the GIS program through our Lunch and Learn presentations to architects and designers. We have 2 presentations. Oh.
Question?
Oh, sorry. Do you want to pause right now for the question?
Okay,
Oh, so Ken Jackson has a question? Okay, you could go ahead. And unmute yourself, I guess. Oh, okay. All right, so. Okay, so we have two presentations, an intro to AWMAC and the manual, and a follow-up presentation is to NAS or not to NAS. Lori completed Lunch and Learns for this year. It's 32 Lunch and Learns. 8 of them were virtually, and 24 of them were in person. And additional presentations to Northern Alberta, we did one. I do know National is asking for additional support in upcoming Lunch and Learns. Some of our smaller chapters across the country, they just don't have the capability for someone to be doing Lunch and Learns. So National is looking for someone to do Lunch and Learns. And then we present to offices in Thunder Bay, Ottawa, and many offices in and around GTA. So the goal for 2024 is to add more Lunch and Learn presentations to Northern and Western Ontario and continue on around Ottawa area as well too, because you'll see the more Lunch and Learns in around Ottawa in 2 or 3 years' time, the payout is we get bigger value projects, and that has reflected in our GIS so far. So AWMAC National GIS Committee update and news. Kasha Robinson of Saskatchewan is AWMAC National GIS Committee Chair. I have become the GIS Committee Vice Chair to help Kasha out. We did attend a face-to-face committee meeting with the chapter admins in January in Vancouver to review the GIS PMP manual. The updated GIS Policy and Procedure Manual, Edition 3, will be released soon, expected in the spring of this year. Please keep a lookout on awmac.com website. It's obviously free to download, and hot links are going to be embedded into the document, similar to the NAS. And then in upcoming news for 2025, AWMAC National Convention is going to be hosted in Saskatoon, and we will be introducing a new AWMAC National GIS Project Awards. So how will the awards work? Members must submit photos, videos, and description of projects, submit to the chapters for that category. The GIS project must be completed with the certificate issued out before the awards deadline for submission. And then all chapters will forward the winning GIS project to the National GIS Project Awards. Prize will be an award plaque, and also an article will be written in the Woodworking magazine. So please remember to take lots of photos, lots of videos, and remember to submit for AWMAC Awards. All right. So I'll let Philip come up.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming. Nice to be here. Lovely to see you all. I'm going to be talking about our membership for 2023, the report. In 2023, which one? Perfect. Our membership grew to 131 members. I'd like to thank Mike Sanchez for our membership drive committee, and also Lori Sawicki, who doesn't seem to think she did anything, but she did, for helping us get these new members on board. I'd like to, instead of just go through all the members, I'd just like to maybe just highlight and welcome the new members that we had last year to the membership, as they are the lifeblood of our association. So in no particular order, I'd like to work in Cabinet Solutions, CCW, Digital Fabricators, Hardwood Cabinetry, Keypoint Millwork, Ladson Creative, LK Custom Design, Popkin Construction, Sandu Woodworks, Cambria, Microvellon, North American Rapid Suppliers, or NARS, Sodex Web Services, Martin Simmons Architects, Ward 99 Architects, and Renfeld. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being part of our association. And we look forward to meeting you and seeing you at some of our events coming up in 2024. Thank you. That's it.
The role of Bill is now being played by. So unfortunately, Bill couldn't make it today. He had a loss in the family, so he was going to try and get on, join us virtually, but I'm based on the idea that he did not make it. I'll review our marketing education for last year and review this year's plans for marketing education on his behalf. 2023, our marketing initiatives included the National Convention, where Ontario really, we spearheaded the choice of all the various topics for our conferences and seminars. Found that we had a very good feedback on the topics at hand, including retaining workers in the modern workforce, our seminar on the importance of notice and legal process, especially given the Prompt Payment Act. Good feedback, and that started building the momentum for us to move forward with a lot of our other initiatives. As part of marketing, we had the Ontario our Project Awards Dinner and Gala. We had a number of architects and designers, which we're trying to keep growing as well as we're inviting and bringing more people out and starting to really celebrate the work that's going on out there and the work that our members are doing. In WMS, we presented and we sponsored the expo. A lot of foot traffic and a lot of good education and a lot of upcoming technologies and trends were presented. And then ongoing, we had our lunch and learn programs that Lori was working on. She really had a lot of lunch and learns last year, as Karina mentioned. And then we started our manufacturing education seminars. So in September, there was one on finishing and finishing lines that was held in conjunction with SAMES. In October 25th, we started our succession planning program. So there's a lot of information was presented that a lot of our members don't really understand what's involved and aren't prepared for succession planning within their companies. Family companies, corporate entities didn't really have a lot of plans in place for whatever inevitable things may occur. So we started having our first session there was planning the death of a shareholder. It was actually planning for the death, not planning the death of a shareholder. So I got that one wrong. And then in November, we held one on construction claims and, again, the importance of notice. So building on that, we're going into this year, and we have some ongoing seminars that you'll see next. But we had our apprenticeship contest just this past weekend, and pleased to say that it was a really great turnout. Some good work was presented. And I'd like to congratulate Mr. I know his first name, but it was Jasneet. Jasneet Singh of Humber College took first place this year with an excellent turnout, which I'm very hopeful is going to go on in national and kick some serious butt there. It'd be nice to put them in their place for a while. Yesterday, there's a presentation that Lori and Ian presented to the Canadian Spec Writers Council in Grand Valley. They did a CEU on how to specify wood and NOS. We have our Al Sparling golf tournament this year will be held again, and it's going to Piper's Heath this year, moving away from the Abbey for a change, and then going there. It looks like a great venue, and I'm hoping that all members will turn out, and we'll have the great turnout that we're used to in the past. May 21st, there'll be a presentation in conjunction with Quebec to the CSC National Convention in Montreal. The CSC winds up actually being the arm of the architects and designers community that winds up really having a lot of input on whether or not these things are specified properly, whether AWMAC is specified, whether NOS is specified, and whether they're specifying GIS to be included in projects. So getting them on board and presenting to them is creating a lot of traction and bringing a lot of opportunities to the table for future projects. And we have some CEUs going on in the fall in Ottawa. And then in October, we just finalized the date. It's going to be October 2024. We will have our AWMAC Projects Award Gala once again at the Royal York Hotel. Ongoing, again, our Lunch and Learns, as mentioned. We are going to have some educational seminars that are both virtual and in person, and there'll be a new presentation on introductions to AWMAC and GIS that is currently underway. Some of the education seminars for this year. January, we did one on shop drawings to meet NAWS. February, we had one on grants, loans, and leasing of equipment. In March, we have an equipment PSR, pre-health and safety reviews. Next month, we'll have another one on succession planning, continuing for the business in the family. In May, there'll be a course on veneer and solid lumber grading. In June, part 3 of our succession planning seminars, sale of businesses to a third party. July, we'll be doing a laminating and sheet goods seminar. August, again, succession planning, real estate and business. And then in September, we'll be doing social and digital media. And we're also hoping to throw a couple extra ones there. We've got some on solid surfaces and a few others that have been hitting the drawing tables, and I think we're going to be able to roll those out. Some will be virtual, some will be in person, and all virtual seminars are being made available on the AWMAC Ontario YouTube channel. So if you can't make it there in person, you'll be able to log on to the YouTube channel and view the seminars that you weren't there for. So we're trying to get the education out there. We don't just want to be the watchdogs and the people telling people what to do. We want to be also getting the industry together and showing people how to do better work. So when the YouTube channel is fully up and running, then that will get the presentation. It'll be in an e-blast. So keep an eye on the e-blast as to when it's ready and where you can find it. We've been bandying about a cost of doing business initiative. For some might remember, this was done in the past quite a few years ago. AWI has been known for putting them out. I think we tried one once upon a time. It was generally a survey on what the cost of doing business in the woodworking industry is across the board in Ontario. We're asking some pretty generic questions. How big is your shop? What's your annual sales? What's your sweet spot for your job? What kind of equipment do you have? We take this information and lump it together, and we do a State of the Union for what it looks like in the industry, what's the baselines, what's the averages, and what's the cost of doing business actually in woodworking. It winds up being a tool that a lot of shops find useful, and others not as much. It's not an inexpensive process. It's a large endeavor that has to be taken on by both the volunteer members of the board and committees, as well as we'll have to bring someone on board to put together these questions and the questionnaires. We're actively asking the membership for some feedback if this is something that we are interested in going down the road. It's, as I said, it's not inexpensive. It's probably going to be in the range of $10,000 of expenditures. Not just going to do that on a whim without enough feedback from the membership that this is something we want to do. So we'll be asking some questions and sending out some questions as to who's interested in doing this and who is and who's not. Frankly, we're looking for the pros and cons and your feedback on this. And if it is something that is deemed to be of value, then we'll go down that road. So keep your eyes open on the e-blasts that you guys get. And for the questionnaires regarding this, Bill is putting something together in order for everybody to see what the consensus of the association at large actually is. Now we'll do the 2023 AWMAC National Report. Reporting remotely on this one is Mr. Ian Christie, our AWMAC Ontario President. Whoa, there's a coup. I didn't know about that.
Oh, I'm coming for you. No, AWMAC Ontario past president.
Past president, national director, and our
director, and another gentleman with a great haircut, right, Nick?
Absolutely, we are Legion.
Anyhow, to add to Nick's point on the presentation that Lori and I made yesterday to CSC very quickly before I get into the national report, the CSC is the Construction Specifications Canada group. So they kind of they work towards making sure that all specifications within a tender package are communicated properly and vetted well. When you have a good specification writer, you have a very good tender package. When you don't, you don't. One of the interesting things from that presentation was that we had two major general contractors from the Kitchener-Waterloo area attend. It was kind of our first opportunity to present to some general contractors, although it wasn't tailored for them. And what we learned was there's definite interest there from the general contracting community to tailor a presentation to them so they can learn more about AWMAC and what AWMAC means for a general contractor. So I think that's a really interesting foray into our future. So from a national perspective, it's been a interesting and very busy 7 or 8 months since the AGM in Toronto. I think we can all that were there agree that there was a very clear direction given to the National Board of Directors, and in particular the executive. A real clear call to action to really start to build some action and an action plan and have some accountability. And I think that was heard loud and clear. So there's been a lot on the go in the last number of months nationally. Obviously, the biggest is the changing of guard as far as our executive director goes. We've moved away from Michelle Morel and wish her all the best in her future endeavors. However, we have hired a lady by the name of Audra Denny. Audra brings a wealth of experience managing not-for-profit associations and really a renewed passion and drive to do great things for this association. So we're really excited, kind of 4.5 months in now to her tenure, and I think all accounts are she's done a wonderful job this far. It's a lot like drinking from a fire hydrant for her right now as she learns the association and the business and all the individual businesses within the business, but she's done a tremendous job of helping to realign us and reset priorities and get things accomplished. So what has been accomplished? Audra joined us right at the precipice of our late October face-to-face here in Toronto. That face-to-face was really focused on budgeting and strategic planning for fiscal year 24. A lot of those strategic plans were very short-term focused. And a lot of that had to do with what came out of the AGM in Toronto. We need to put action in front of our membership. And that's what that strategic plan was about. So we're not looking at a 10-year, 12-year plan. We're looking at, a 1-year, 3-year plan. One of the biggest topics was getting back to revenue neutrality. I think we've run a number of years where we have run in a deficit position. We don't want to do that anymore. So we spend a lot of time on the budget. We budget together for this fiscal year that will represent revenue neutrality, which is what a not-for-profit association should be doing. So in order to achieve that, we're looking for ways to rehouse some of the outsourced tasks. That was a big driver in cost over the last number of years. We are looking at better cash management, things like face-to-face meetings. How do we better control the cost on those? So for reference, our face-to-face this year was really travel in, travel out location right at the airport in Toronto, which is central to everybody in the country. It's easy to get to in one flight. There's not extra need for car rentals, taxi services, bringing in food, all of those things. All of the airport hotels are very good at making sure that those types of meetings are well looked after. So that was a big one. And then, the last thing that we really talked a lot about was an increase in focus on chapter and member stakeholders. What do they want? What can we deliver to them? And how do we get it out to them? So that's really, December. If I'm to go through committees and talk about some of that action, I think Karina touched on a big one, which is the GIS committee. It's our biggest deliverable program as an organization. And with Kasia at the helm, I think it's come a long way. We were in a bit of a leadership void, and it had lost some focus. Audra's given, the board has given Kasia a lot of free rein to develop that program or remanage that program properly. So she has updated TORs. Karina talked about revision of the P&P, which was much needed. That's been a lot of heavy lifting on the GIS committee plate, as Karina can attest to. We've implemented some inspector and admin meetings just to bring everybody onto the same page nationally. The CSC committee is re-engaged in some activity. So the CSC committee is now working on a code of conduct that is universal for the association, that is part and parcel to our bylaws and membership requirements. And part of that is also a disciplinary process. Outside of GIS discipline, there's a lot of other things that I think are left to the discretion of maybe a chapter or are pushed to the back burners that are detrimental to our association as a whole when it comes to member conduct. So, we need to have a disciplinary process there. So we're looking at a unilateral disciplinary process so that, much like the GIS disciplinary process, it's very, very transparent. And then the last thing that's being worked on right now at the CSC level is a unified membership application, so that there's not an individual application that's different for every chapter. Fees will remain up to the chapter, but the application will be universal. And then Nick touched on marketing committee. So I chair the marketing committee. I also sit on the CSC committee. Marketing is made driver in our deliverables to the membership, and I've really stressed that to the committee and to the board of directors. So we have spent the past 2.5, almost 3 months building a foundation for our brand identity. Right now, there has been work done in the past that we as members have paid for that hasn't been well communicated to the membership. We've distilled a lot of that. That will be sent out to all the chapters, and that'll be in the form of a brand book, which will enforce the use of our brand and how things are to be used, how our logo is to be used, what our colors are, all of these things that are foundational to building a good marketing program. And then Audra is now in-house as opposed to outsourcing, working on some tools to provide to the chapters, and those will be rolled out probably within the next month and a half. Tools such as social media templates, so that our staff in Ontario doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. Lori can grab a social media template and put a social media post together that will be in line with everybody else in Ontario everybody else nationally, as far as the look and feel of it, which really goes a long way to building a national recognition of who AWMAC is. That will also include some presentation templates and probably some newsletter templates as well that will all be sent out in a Dropbox type file for all of our admins to access, which is, I think, a lot of work off Lori's shoulders. And then once we have that accomplished, our next step, and we've already started engaging, but our next step will be to really develop a promotional plan for GIS. So our next step will be to engage with the GIS committee and really develop a GIS promotional plan. And I think that, again, is critical to our growth as an association. So once we have the foundation built, that is going to be the framework for which marketing will occur. Other national news and events, we have our 2024 virtual AGM. There is no in-person convention this year. It will be a virtual AGM. Is upcoming May 30th. The board of directors, the national board of directors, will be in Quebec to host that AGM. And part of that is an outreach to the Quebec chapter to try to help them develop and create some momentum and bring in more membership, which will only serve to strengthen the association as a whole. Nationally, we have a face-to-face meeting coming up in Calgary again in October. That will be back to strategic planning and budgeting. Of note, with the hire of Audra Denny, all of our employees now, so that's Cheryl and Jen, are actually employees of the association, as is Audra. So there's no more contractors. All of our people now nationally are employees. And of interesting note there is that we are engaging all of those employees with the Ontario-created benefits plan package. So thank you, Ontario, for pushing that forward and allowing us the opportunity to provide benefits to our employees through what you've created. And then finally, Karina did touch on it, 2025 will bring us to the Saskatchewan Convention and AGM. And planning for that is well underway with Audra and the
Ian? Alrighty.
you all.
Okay. Right. Thank you. Thank you, Ian. So that was great. And to reiterate and to sum up, exciting things are happening in national, exciting things are happening in Ontario. So good to see, good to hear. Election of the Ontario Board of Directors for the year 2024-2025. As part of the packages that were put out, there was a call for nominations to the Board of Directors. Per our amended bylaws, there is space for 13 members of the Ontario Board of Directors, from a minimum of 9 to a maximum of 13 to sit in that space. So we have 2 vacancies on the board. This is the current board as stands. We are maintaining a manufacturer majority as originally mandated. And we received 3 nominations to the Ontario board. So we have Chloe Lalonde from Jean Savignac Woodwork in Ottawa. No, that's in North Bay. We have John Giardino from Ceradex, and we have Danielle Theriault from Presentex Canada, who is in Ottawa. So we have 2 manufacturer members and a supplier member in nomination to the board. That brings us to the time of a vote. So when is this next? Okay, so everyone who's here physically has a piece of paper. Those of you who are online, there is a link. You already have the going, that we are taking votes for the 2 open spots. Please vote for your 2 choices to represent you on the board of directors. And while yes, we have to choose 2 of the 3. First name or the number. Number 1 would be Chloe Lalonde. Number 2, John Giardino. Number 3, Danielle Theriault. Okay, while Lori is tabulating votes and collecting them, mine's on your there. We'll review the scheduled events for 2024. So as we said, March 16th was the apprenticeship contest. Again, congratulations to Jasneet Singh. And thank you to Archmill House for sponsoring first prize this year. March 21st currently is our AGM that we're in right now. May 23rd is the date we've established for our golf tournament. So this year's Al Sparling Memorial Golf Tournament will be at the Pipers Heath Golf Club, May 23rd. So you'll start seeing emails once we put this AGM to bed, we will start seeing emails and we'll start getting everyone recruited up for that. We'll be seeking our sponsors, seeking our membership, and getting everybody to join up and start filling up those foursomes. May 30th will be the 2023 AGM for National, which will be a virtual AGM. October 17th is the current date established for the AWMAC Ontario Projects Award Gala at the Royal York, downtown Toronto. We were trying to do November, but turns out that Taylor Swift was going to be there at the same time, and she won. You just can't beat her. And then, as I'd indicated previously, there's going to be a lot of manufacturing CEUs. The dates will be in the e-blasts, but there's one a month scheduled from now until the end of the year. So we're definitely looking forward to seeing everyone involved in those. There's a lot of good information. And if you have ideas for the CEUs, please email them in, send them in to Lori, and we'll get them vetted and go through them and come up with ideas. It's all about providing the information and the tools that our members need to stay competitive, to stay strong, and to flourish in the current market. Say again? That's me. And hopefully I've killed enough time. They all in? Lori, who's acting as secretary and scrutineer for today.
You can see
Oh.
the results.
Is it that plus that?
You gotta add all of this together, all this together, and then this one with all of this together. These two.
Okay.
I'm not gonna give you total results.
Okay. The results are in, and the nominations to the board of directors, we have Chloe from Jean Savignon, and we have Danielle from Presentex joining the Ontario Board of Directors. Congratulations. But more importantly, thank you for stepping up and representing, and we look forward to having you on the board of directors and working with you for the next years coming. So that said, we have the current board of directors, myself, Karina Chang, Ian Christie, Philip Roy, Honorio Setafanti, Mike Sanchez, Bill Kajanchik, Joe Jubran, Ian Rowe, Livio Passalent, and Mohsen Kanafar, and then we have the addition of Chloe Lalonde and Danielle Theriault. And with that said, that brings us to a full slate, and I'll call for a motion to elect the aforementioned individuals as the directors for the year 2024-2025. I guess everybody's already putting their hands up and voting. We don't need the motion and second at that point. So, you need a motion? I need a motion from Sam, thank you. And second from Mohsen, thank you. So then we will vote. And you have my proxy. All in favor? Any against? None here, online. Any abstaining? Motion carries. Congratulations and thank you. Now let's open it up. The dry part is hopefully over, and let's open up to questions and answers from the floor and online. If anyone online has any questions, any comments, please use the chat box. We should theoretically be, or put your hand up on the app, should theoretically be able to pipe you in, but if not, we can have it read out. Any questions for anyone on the board? Please. Damn, we're thorough. Nothing. All right, well, my favorite color is blue, for those of you who care. No other questions. That said, if no new business brought to the floor, no questions and answers, I will call a motion. Don't need a motion for this. I would just call the meeting adjourned at 2:35. And thank you very much for attending, and thank you everyone for your participation. Have a great rest of the day.